हेलो तो कैसे हैं आप? फाइनली वी हैव अ बेटर बैकग्राउंड फॉर स्टार्ट्स। आई हैव बुक्स जिनके नाम बड़े बड़े अक्षरों में लिखे हुए हैं जिससे लोगों को लगे आई एम लिटिल इंटेलेक्चुअल और दिस थिंग दैट आई एम स्पीकिंग समथिंग सीरियस which I do sometimes. Also, that I have a kung fu partner that looks straight at you, and I know he might seem a little forward after some point. I know where coming from, but I'm still gonna keep it. I have also have three fake plants, and apart from that, I have a portrait of a Formula One driver, Lewis Hamilton. He seemed a little serious and a little inspirational, so I kept the portrait. The point being, इस दो तरफा रिलेशनशिप में हमारे तरफ से हो रहे एफर्ट्स आपके तरफ से नहीं हो रहे हैं। भाई हम पैसे लगा रहे हैं, हम बुक्स ला रहे हैं जिससे लोगों को लगे हम होशियार हैं, जिससे हम प्लांट्स ला रहे हैं जिससे लोगों को लगे कि हम वातावरण को सपोर्ट करते हैं, और आप नहीं कर रहे हैं सब्सक्राइब। ऐसे कैसे चले? How is it gonna work, bro? You gotta do the regime. You gotta like, you gotta share, you gotta subscribe, man. So I hope you do it. I hope you. It's been like minutes probably, and I hope इस point तक तुमने वो कर दिया है. It's not like I don't want to be that landlord who comes again and again and kind of annoys you. I just don't want to be that guy. So I hope you do that. But anyway, coming back to the podcast, today's episode is with Mayur Vyas. He's a co-founder and CEO of Brilo and Netflix. He's a content creator who has been creating content on LinkedIn for a while now and has been doing general stuff around content for a long time. We talked about AI in this episode, whether but specifically around content, like how people gonna view content when AI is involved in the future, or maybe how business gonna use it, or how it will affect the way we consume or produce more content. Uh, we also talked about any ethical accusations or regulation that might come in future to when AI comes into play, because we don't know how things are going to play out, and it might cause some problems to some people. So we also discussed that how it might actually look in future, what could be the structures or what could be the things that are worth considering. Also, I found out that Mayur Vyas has secret dating career at some point where he used to write a lot of blogs around dating. And if you are someone who came into this video trying to learn about AI, and I have got you a surprise. So hey, I am full of surprises. But the point being, this episode is full of packages. You will really enjoy it. I think it's a very mature, very calm conversation. I really had a great time. So I hope you like it too. The episode with Mayur Vyas begins in three, two, one.
They are basically enabling the users to create content at a
Yeah,
mass. Yeah. Right.
yeah, yeah,
Now many of us would love will also say that yeah, it is a generic content, right? Because there is no personalization. Like what I can write for email marketing, you can also write for email marketing, right? Now real differentiation which is going to happen, and that's where generative AI is still at the phase where they're building it, which is called as personalization,
hmm,
right? So the first phase is definitely you are able to create content, you are able to create at a mass, there is a certain structure available. But the next revolution that is going to come is more on the personalization. So for example, if I have been able to train the model for a digital marketer, for example, that is one level of personalization. The next level of personalization is basically if I can train that model for Mayur Vyas, right? Or I can train that model for Aditya. Now, Aditya in last 20 years of his life has already gone through certain things, right? And that has actually a good amount of volume or a knowledge, you can say, which can be used to train those AI bots,
yeah,
right? So that whenever Aditya create content, let's say for example you want to create a content that hey, this is something that has happened in my life and this is my life lesson, for example, then generative AI will be able to give you exactly the content that Aditya want to write rather than Mayur wants to write,
yeah,
right? So yes, with evolution of AI, this is the first evolution, I would say, where we are generating content. But in next 3 to 5 years, which we see is many brands are actually going to adopt it. In fact, I don't know whether you have gone through the recent update. Adobe has started putting AI in Photoshop,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you just have to tell them that, okay, this place I need this image or this background or something like that, and it will actually infuse it,
Yeah.
right? So those tech giants are also using it in terms of content creation.
Mm.
In fact, there are a lot of presentations are now gonna be built on AI. You just have to give
AI.
the direction and then it will bring, right? In fact, there are a lot of branding tool that comes. So there's a tool which is called as writer.com, right?
Okay.
Where you have to configure the tool accordingly. See, now one part is configuration the tool. I have to tell that what is my brand identity, right?
Hmm.
What is my brand guideline?
Yeah.
It can certainly generate certain brand guideline, and then if you get finalized, you can use that in the content creation. So
Yeah.
then next time, whenever you create content, whether it is a blog or whether it is a image for your Instagram or maybe your video for a YouTube, they will actually have those personalization done. So,
Hmm.
and the good part is it is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Whether you accept it, whether you don't accept it,
Yeah.
it is going to happen because it is something that is created by us.
Hmm.
It is not something that, okay, we got it from someone, whether you have to accept it or not. So it is this is
Yeah.
basically, it is created by us. I'll give you an example. Basically, my daughter is in 7th standard right now, right? Yesterday only we actually got those all books for the 7th standard now. You won't believe, my daughter has a subject of generative AI. My daughter has a subject of NLP, 7th standard. Can you believe it? No, I can't, because I never read NLP and AI, HTML, CSS in the 7th standard. So
Yeah.
point I'm trying to tell is, somewhere down
Yeah.
the line this technology is getting infused in our daily life.
Hmm.
Whether you have to accept it or not, but we have to use it and live with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So brands are going to use it a big time. In fact, there are a lot
Hmm.
of tools available, whether you don't have to actually go ahead and do anything. You just have to
Yeah.
tell them some requirements and you'll get all your Instagram copies and all these things. Yesterday
Yeah.
I was toying with one tool. I just have to give some information and it
Okay.
creates carousel in hardly 30 seconds.
Okay.
So you can create LinkedIn carousel, you can create Instagram carousel. The
Okay.
good part is,
Hmm.
see, what I believe is, as a human, right?
Hmm.
We're good at thinking. We're good
Yes.
at creativity, right?
Yes.
So what AI is allowing us
Hmm.
is to ensure that please do whatever you're good at.
Yeah.
Leave all that repetitive laundry work to AI.
How? Yeah.
That's it. And
Makes
use it.
sense.
Use it. That's it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. One thing though, like when it comes to making content with like AI, like I think I also mentioned this with you, like the whole point of biased, but I like the whole bias thing coming out, but I have like I think I would say like more in-depth question about it is that I think I was listening to a podcast about with Mishikaku. I think he was he wrote a book about God equation. I don't know if you heard about this book, but he's a very he's a scientist and he works in computing and he's also coming with a book out about quantum computing. And he and Joe Rogan was talking about the whole AI thing that is going on right now. And one thing that he mentioned about AI is that a lot of things that are being written down, like if you ask some AI tool to kind of write an essay for you, it's not AI writing the thing. It's like it's collecting 10 essays that was once written by a human on internet, and then it is kind of compressing it to your needs and then presenting it to you so you can feel like the AI wrote it, but the AI hasn't wrote it. Like humans are writing it. So my point is like abhi chatbots, the scenario of chatbot is that like to some extent it's still not evolved to a point where it can think about itself. It's kind of copying things and pasting it. The only thing I kind of figure out is that like if you ask a very specific questions, it can find keywords from 10 different essays and try to cater your need as accurately as possible. Right. So when it comes to when humans have the foundation of that content, like the humans are the foundation of that content, how do you think AI, doesn't that raise any ethical questions moving forward with AI? Like brands using it, it could be manipulative. Someone might find offensive. So how does that you kind of filter out? Is it possible?
So, see, if you look at basically this entire equation, what you said that those 10 essays are being written by human and then it is basically maybe scrambled or maybe coming to you as per your need. So that's how these bots were trained,
Hmm.
right? If you look at how these bots were
Yeah.
trained basically on human on existing content. That's basically base is also human, right? So that's why the GPT, or you can say the NLP form of it looks like more humanized, right? That is one. So yes,
Makes sense. Yeah.
base is always human
Yeah.
because so you need to understand very easily, right? As I also said it in the first sentence, it is actually we who created it,
Huh.
right? So definitely
Yeah.
base is human,
Yeah.
right? Now the second aspect is maybe copyright infringement, or maybe um, other people are taking offense out of it, right? And I think that's where um, I think the policies needs to be derived very well. Even if you look at certain countries like Italy, they have banned chat GPT.
I think even New York came up with the like statement that they will ban ChatGPT for students.
See,
Yeah.
see the reason why they are banning it, right?
Hmm.
See, if I don't have a solution of something, I will basically not consume it,
Yeah.
right? Till the
Yeah.
time I got a solution,
Yeah.
right? So banning a chat GPT in certain country, that doesn't mean that it is there for lifelong. Basically what they are
Hmm.
trying to do right now is they are trying to form a policy of it.
Hmm.
Once they make a policy, they will say that, okay, use chat GPT with this policy.
Yes.
If you're not adhering to the policy, definitely you will be put up under acquisitions or something like that. So a there are brands who need to follow those things for sure.
Hmm. Hmm.
Otherwise there is so for example, I was reading an article on Forbes the other day where, see, if you look at all the image generation tool, right?
Hmm.
They are all being trained by an existing paintings, existing designs, right? So now all those painters who have actually created those masterpiece on which those bots were trained, they were
Yeah.
never been asked. Nobody took their permissions also.
Yeah.
Nobody is giving them any kind of remuneration as well. So they are now
Yeah.
in the court petition saying that your AI bots are being trained on our work without asking us or
Hmm.
without even taking our permission.
Yeah.
And I think that's a valid point. See, when you
Yeah.
say, for
Yeah.
example, if I need to learn from you, I need your permission.
Hmm.
Or these paintings are in public not because to train you. These paintings are there to just to just so that you can take a look at it,
Yeah.
right? But when you
Yeah.
trained it, at least you should have a permission of the creator,
Yes.
right? So at some
The,
point
the
of
the information has been shared willingly. Like it's not been forced. So you have to take it. So you can't take it without any permission.
So, for example, if I publish an image on my
Huh.
website,
Huh.
right? What happened is I published it, and I want you to see that.
Huh.
But now what you did is you actually trained one of your software, and now you're selling that software to create image like Da Vinci, for example, or Van
Hmm.
Gogh, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Now this is unethical. The reason is you did not ask for the commercial license, right?
Yeah.
If I have a certain property, right, and you want to use that property for or a financial gain, you need
Yeah.
to ask me, you need to take permission from me, all the legal rights and all.
Yeah.
That has not been taken, so that was really bad, and in fact there's a lot of lawsuits are happening on it.
Huh.
So there are people who have used these methods to train their bots knowingly, unknowingly, ethically, unethically. But yes, there are certain things which has been done at a good reason, but
Hmm.
sometimes maybe at a wrong way,
Hmm.
right? So as I said, this is too early, and that's where there are people who file a petition saying that you don't need a chat GPT 5 until you create a policies, right?
Yeah.
So this whole thing uh, is going to take some time to stabilize,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if someone says that AI is a very new topic, honestly, AI is not a new topic.
It's not a new topic. The person saying it was like ignorant for the whole time. That's a different conversation. Yeah.
Because see, I passed out my graduation in 2006.
Okay.
We had a subject AI,
Okay.
that time also in engineering,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So it is not new. Only thing is, all of a sudden now it has become more capable.
More accessible.
Yes, you
Yeah.
can also say it has become
Yeah.
accessible as well.
Yeah.
So now people are saying that okay, AI is a new thing. So no, and that's where if you look at the research on AI as well, it is happening from past 40 years.
Yep.
So yes, there this is going to take some time to stabilize it, and and as a human we'll also see. What I believe is, as I said, take help of AI wherever you feel that you don't have to put a lot of head,
Hmm.
right? If it is a laundry work, or if it is a mere repetition work, where I say it's a no brainer, right? That
Yeah.
is one. Second is how to train that AI to basically reduce your own work. So let's say the tool that we are building, right?
Hmm.
Right now it is coming through an OpenAI standpoint that okay, it will
Yeah.
generate content. But
Yeah.
what we're trying to build right now is we're gonna train those bots with
Hmm.
exactly the person who has the the account on that particular tool. So for
Hmm.
example, tomorrow Aditya comes and create an account on Brilo, right? We are actually figuring out the right methods to train those bots so that it could start behaving or thinking like Aditya, or maybe not thinking, but you can say more of giving results as in Aditya. So it might ask you certain questions. So there's an innovative way that we are experimenting is, let's say for example you're preparing for IELTS, right?
Okay.
So in IELTS, to do a lot of communication,
Hmm.
right, to train you on communication or to polish your communication, whether it is a verbal form or whether it is a written form, right, they give you a lot of material to read, and then they ask you certain questions. Maybe the question is, how was your childhood? Now they
Okay.
have nothing to do with your childhood. Now what they
Yeah.
are why they are asking is to test your communication.
Okay.
Now but
Okay.
we can use those methods to
Huh.
train our bots, saying that how Aditya thinks, what is the childhood, because on LinkedIn or on social media while building your personal brand, you share your personal anecdotes as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now
Hmm.
how, if I directly ask you these things, AI is not going to write, because AI doesn't even know Aditya
Huh. It
first.
needs data. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
what needs to be done over here is treat
Hmm.
AI as your best intern.
Yeah.
Don't treat AI as your master.
Yeah.
AI is your best intern.
Got
It
it.
has a knowledge of the entire world, but at the same time, you need to ask right question to that AI, and you need to feed right information.
Hmm.
Otherwise, so basically, if you look at Google, right now,
Hmm.
Google has an information of the entire world. But I'll tell you very simple. Since they are not able to train their bots properly, I'll tell you a very simple experiment I did the other day.
Okay.
So Mumbai Indian won the match against RCB
Okay. Huh.
after 1 hour, and in
Hmm.
Google says that our data is live, right? Because it
Huh.
has the data. So I just ask Bard saying that what is the result of IPL's today's match.
Hmm.
It gave me a right date, it gave me everything, but it actually gave me the wrong answer.
Okay. What did it give? RCB one.
It said Mumbai won, but
Okay.
last year Mumbai also won from RCB, so it gave me last year's data.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
But
Got it.
the date came as 18th of May 2023. Now that's a wrong information. Now
Huh.
in so there is a glitch in their data retrieval, or maybe training those bots, right? So what is more important is, right now the race is, it's not that how much data you have, it's basically how much, how what is the percentage of perfection you have in training those bots and generating results out of it.
Got it.
I don't know how you also know, but there is an entire government initiative with Microsoft,
Okay.
which is called as Jugalbandi. It is an chat.
Ha. I saw your post on LinkedIn about that. Yeah,
It
recently.
is
Yeah.
shared by Satya Nadella.
Hmm.
Now, this particular startup or this particular project is basically before Chat GPT,
Okay.
right? They are working on it, but since now Chat GPT has come and Microsoft has invested money on it,
Hmm.
it has accelerated to a large extent,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Otherwise, they were very slow because see what with Jugalbandi is, it's basically the complex work is India's dialect, because in
Hmm.
India the written forms are maybe 23, 24, but even if you go, let's say certain dialect, like for example, there is a dialect called Bhojpuri, but there's no written form.
Ah.
But there's a large audience, or there's a large number of people speak Bhojpuri. Now, what they are doing is even they are training those bots in those dialects,
Okay.
right? So it's a massive project, and it has
Hmm.
been backed by telecommunication electronic department in India, the government of India, right?
Hmm.
It is basically pre-chat GPT. So point I'm trying to tell you is it is just the chat GPT is a way to access it, and it has actually given that method to, let's say, millions of users, right? But things are happening in the background, people were not even aware of what is happening, and then they sees that okay, this is something a new thing, and maybe it is going to take our jobs and all these things. So it is not going to happen. They're not going
Yeah.
to take our jobs. They're not going
Yeah.
to take our jobs. Even if you today go on Google and find out the job which is called as prompt engineers, every week there is more than 1 lakh searches happening for prompt engineer. That means it has created new jobs.
Yeah.
So the entire, so as in see again, it's an evolution phase. We are going through a change. So when computer game people were saying that they're gonna steal our jobs, but
Hmm.
then we see that how many jobs they have computers have created.
Yeah. It was, I would say, like the correct word maybe in some sense would be an exchange. Something new came from something old.
Absolutely, and see,
Yeah.
there are certain jobs will definitely become obsolete,
Yeah.
right? As if like for example today when you have a cell phone, I I haven't seen any PCO in my city, or maybe so PCOs is dead, gone,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In fact, there was a concept, or there was a place which is called as internet cafes, right?
Okay.
I used to go
Okay.
there. We used to pay 20 rupees per hour, surf
Huh.
internet, download a
Yeah.
lot of things, the CDs and all these things. Right now, we don't see even the internet cafes. It is not there,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
there is and every decade you will see a lot of new changes. That is, in fact, in last 15 years or 10 years, whatever the innovation that happened, in fact, that even didn't happen in the 100 years.
Hmm. Makes sense. Makes sense.
This is technology. This is
Yeah.
technology. We can't avoid it, to be honest.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. But like also the amount of fear that is on social media thanks to Twitter influencers, like 10 things how like AI will is stealing your job. They're doing a fabulous job at like fearing people. But one thing that I've learned about fearing like this from this observation is that like if you wanna fear like yeah, no, what's the right way to put it? Mm, if you'll make the situations in a way that people fear a new opportunity, it's that they will never have the space to learn. They will always run away. Like in some sense, that if something new comes up and you don't allow the space that okay, it is something new, let me experiment with it and see what I can learn, how I can use it, instead of it like it's gonna kill you, run away. So they're gonna run away. That's just biology. You cannot ignore that, right? But so I think in that sense, Twitter people are doing a great job. But but that's just the reality. But one question about the innovative questions that you asked, like the policies that you're making at Brilo, one thing that came into mind that the AI asks you questions, right? And taking the specific example of IELTS, which is so much concerned with communication, uh, if I am going to answer, first of all, like I'm not going to assume the answers are written or spoken, like when you are the chatbots ask. I think most likely will be
It could be both
written,
the
but
ways.
still,
It could be
it
both the
could be
ways. So,
both
for
ways.
example,
Okay, okay.
if you want to write this, so I'll tell you, there are there are people who are very confident in writing, right? And there are people who are very confident in maybe just dropping a voice message. If
Yeah,
you ask me, I'm more of a type person
yeah.
because see, you need to understand this is
Huh.
how it has been engraved in our thought process from the day one. I'll
Hmm.
tell you a very fantastic scenario and a very great learning aspect as well. So my daughter is
Okay.
is in is in
Sorry to
the
interrupt. Your audio and video has a second of a delay. I don't know. It's my internet or your internet, but I just wanted to
so
stop you and
is
start
it
once
better
again.
now?
No, there's still a, like half a millisecond of gap. I don't know. It's my internet. I hope it's not mine. Or like I
I'm
hope
not
neither it's
sure.
yours. But I think. But we can. Okay. Keep
I
going.
don't know. Let me just test it.
I hope.
Technically, it should not be there.
Is it my audio also kind of a, in a delay? So I know that's my that मेरे यहाँ से
No,
problem होगी.
your voice is absolutely fine. It is in sync. Let
Okay.
me check.
Now speak.
Am I able to? So I'm
Is it
sync.
a little better? Little better.
Yeah, because my internet speed is fine. It's almost 30 Mbps. So I don't know why it is happening.
Don't- I don't know. Google is like a tripping since they have launched their AI tools. I don't know. Something's happening. Something you never know. Okay, sir. Yeah.
In fact, Zoom doesn't actually reduce the quality of the videos as well. Google does it,
Okay. Google
right?
does
So
it. Okay.
I'll give you a very simple
Huh.
and a very deep example, right?
Hmm.
So my daughter used to watch Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma every day, like 4 hours, 5 hours, right? And we were like very concerned about it. कि यार ये
Hmm.
this she's watching too much of television, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
one fine day, I actually took off the plug from the television, saying
Okay.
that let's see what happens, right? So she find out that nothing is there in the TV, no signals are there. So she quietly
First
turn
of
off.
all, first of all, one question. Sorry to interrupt. How much minute it took to kind of uh, before she figured out everything was wrong? Because I can imagine my parents, your parents taking like half an hour कि remote में problem है कि TV में problem है, but the kids too maybe doing like two minutes.
Maybe she took it maybe 2-3 minutes to realize. Maybe she asked someone that nothing is there,
Yeah, yeah,
no signals
yeah,
in the TV, and then
yeah, yeah.
nobody responded positively. So like
She was like
she figured out
figure it
that
out.
no,
Yeah,
there's something
yeah,
bad,
something,
right?
something.
So
Yeah,
then what she did is basically,
huh.
I also have an tablet, right?
Okay.
She went there and maybe she has seen us, my wife or my father or me, going on YouTube and watching something. So she opened YouTube, right?
Hmm.
She actually made a voice search because at that point of time she could not type because maybe she was, I think, 6 years old somewhere, maybe 5 years old. So she could not type. She actually made a voice search. Now, for me, I was like, I never made a voice search
Huh.
at that point of time. Even
Yeah.
today, when I do something on my WhatsApp as well, I normally type. Even
Hmm.
even even lot of messages that we exchange is most of the type messages. In fact, there are people who I have seen that they just send a voice message, right?
Yeah.
For them, it is very easy. So
Yeah.
the reason why I'm saying is it is basically through our subconscious brain, because my brain has been trained from the day one that if it is internet, I need to type. I'll tell you one more example. Like,
Hmm.
since she has seen working on the phone most of the time, so when she opened up laptop for the first time, she was actually tapping on the screen. Then I said, no, this laptop is not a touch screen. You need to
Touch
press the
screen.
keyboard.
Need to press. Yeah.
So what I'm trying to tell you these through examples is basically uh, how you train those bots, right? When you say that whether it is going to be a voice or whether it could be a text. So what we are trying to do is we are going to open it in a both the way. So if you are comfortable in giving us the voice, maybe you can record that voice, send it to us, right? We will decode it and we'll send you the text version of it to just to confirm that this is what you have sent, because right now there are some challenges in voice to text because of the
Yeah.
accent. Because if you see the Brit accent or an US accent or Indian accent, a pretty different accent.
Dialects are still issue, yeah.
right? So maybe there
Mm.
could be a challenge in understanding those words as well. So we're gonna listen to that and convert that into a text, sending back to you saying that this is what we decoded out of your voice message. Is it right? If it is right, you just have to press yes. If it is, maybe you find out that okay, this word was wrong, maybe you can correct
Mm-hmm.
it, send it again. So we are actually using a hybrid methodology to go ahead
Okay.
and make sure that things, so whoever has what kind of habit, you can use that.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I think like we already had this
I also
conversation.
want to make one point which you said, the Twitter influencer thing, right?
Yeah.
Now I have observed a lot of things because since I talk to so many people on daily basis, right?
Mm.
There are two type of people on Twitter,
Mm.
or maybe the
Okay.
entire world of internet, right?
Okay.
A, some, the the first, or a person A is very uh, genuine that they are in fear that
Okay.
AI is going to replace you, for example. And there are
Okay.
genuinely certain people, because people also ask me that I am a designer and I am still learning a new design aspect. But since AI is creating so many images, no one is actually going to hire a fresher. Either
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
need
Hmm.
a experienced guy or they just need an AI,
Hmm.
right? And there are second set of people which I realized is they will just make a noise that AI is going to take your job, or maybe AI is bad, don't use it. But what I've
Yeah. Yeah.
realized is if you go and ask them 10 things that how you are doing it, they'll say we are just toying with AI as well. So they use AI, but they are bad mouthing AI.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have seen that kind of people. When in fact when we were launching this tool, when I was talking to a lot of beta users, there are a lot of people who said ki, yeah, Mayur, definitely AI is good, but then how will you replace the human touch? And I said we are not here to replace humans. We are actually
Yeah.
here to give humans a better ability to generate content, right? Or better
Yeah.
ability to do things, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't accept it. They didn't accept basically what we are creating. They were like, nee, I'm not going to use it.
Hmm.
Fast forward 3 weeks down the line, they're writing
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
post on AI saying that hey, it is good. Now, what are you trying to tell me here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? So, again, these are the people who want to ride the AI wave, but even
Hmm.
don't want to accept that the
Yeah.
change is coming. So there are
Hmm.
people. You'll find out all sorts of people.
Hmm.
So what's more important is what you think, how
Yeah.
AI is going to help you, and
Yeah.
create your own path around it. To be honest.
Hmm. Hmm. Makes sense. Like in my observation as like a 20-year guy, one thing that I've learned like is that people haven't able to kind of draw a line between awareness and bullshit in some sense. Like they are not fully aware of the scene, and a lot of goes to that they're choosing not to be aware. Like ऐसा नहीं कि information available नहीं है, they're trying not to. They just afraid because they've kind of read a thread on Twitter. My point is that we are not very clear कि how AI will take jobs in some sense, because the honesty is that AI is still evolving. AI को भी उसकी भी क्या use cases हो सकते हैं, we still have to figure it out. It can help in video editing. Like I was exploring a product, AI product for video editing. It's specially for podcasts. It's available as a plugin for Premiere Pro. So what happens is that if you're using multiple cameras and you have different audio, so it kind of, if you give the input correct, like इस बंदे का ऑडियो ये और इस बंदे का ऑडियो ये है, so what it happens that it can detect, like whenever you are speaking it will automatically cut it and you will have the main screen, and when I'm speaking I will have the main screen. That's the podcast. So what happens if you are, if you did a, like an hour of podcast, hour long podcast episode, it makes, because it takes a lot of time to kind of cinch the audio and then you cut it and you split and then you change the opacity, a lot of things. But what happens, it kind of directly changes, does that in like 5 minutes. People are like, how it will take jobs from video editor. It will not take jobs for video editor, it will give it more work, bro. Because at the end of the day you still need to check वो सही है कि नहीं. Maybe चलो AI वो भी कर लेगा. The point is that how do you create hooks on Instagram? There's a website that called I forgot the name. What happens if you provide a link of a YouTube video, it creates 10 shots from that video on an average. That's the number of You can get like our video it creates. But the thing is that the reality is that this attention span is like 5 seconds at best, I guess, on Instagram. And if you still don't have that hook at the start of a video, no one gonna watch that video, and AI will not get the hook because maybe I can be talking about, suppose, Friends, the the like the show. I can put in a hook about Friends. Like one thing I got to learn recently, I was watching a video about how to make your Europe, like how do you play with shorts better. So one thing that I got to know is that people use a lot of B-roll when they make reels to make it more relatable. But one mistake that they make is that they download the perfect pictures, that they are well shot in photos and video cinematic photos. But thing is that the video looks good but it's not relatable. Like कि अगर कोई जोक बन रहा है तो you will like to have that joke from a Bollywood movie, maybe फिर हेरा फेरी. That what makes it relatable. The thought of choosing Hera Fairy as your B-roll comes as a human thing, right? That cannot come as an AI. That's the difference, and people don't understand. So if AI can do that for you, so you can just do more work. You can explore more. You can experiment more. You will have more money. If businesses have the ability to do more, they will,
That's what I
right?
said in the
Yeah,
previous question as well. Say,
yeah,
as a human, right? You're good at thinking, you're good at creativity, right? So use your brain in these two things. Feed AI in the right way so that you
exactly.
get the right result. So AI is not going. So for example, as I said, for example, if I have to create a meme, right?
Hmm,
Now I know that my favorite movie is, let's say, Hera Fairy.
hmm.
Now I have a lot of small shots in the movie where I can relate to it and maybe show it as my content, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Now, still I have to tell AI or train that AI saying that,
yeah,
hey, in comedy, I have Hera Fairy as my favorite movie. I also have Andaz Apna Apna as my favorite movie, right? But again, AI will not have the entire movie as in their brain,
yeah,
right? I
yeah,
have
yeah,
to feed. Okay, these are four things which I love from the movie,
yeah.
right? There was a plot in this, or there was a plot in the sequence. So
Hmm,
at the end of the day,
hmm.
I know what I am good at. I am
Yeah,
good at creativity. I'm
yeah,
good at thinking.
yeah,
I'm good at sometime even uh, see, even in creativity, some there are people who will have who actually be very creative,
hmm.
right? There are certain people. So basically, this is what my category of creativity is. I'm more of a logical creative guy.
Okay,
I'm not an open creative guy,
okay,
right? That's why I'm not good at drawing,
okay.
right? My brain doesn't respond when I try to. So if I have to create a maybe a drawing of Mickey Mouse, I will be worst doing it. But when you ask me that how to logically make things creative, I think that's where I'm good at.
Yeah.
That's why it's more of like, that's where the product guys comes into the picture,
Hmm, hmm,
because they are basically more logically creative,
hmm.
right? So again, training those AI in a different way, whether it could be a logical
Yeah,
creativity,
yeah,
whether it could be an free creativity,
yeah.
you need to tell that AI. So that's basically it. So again, it's going to increase. So we are at a very beginning stage.
Huh.
In fact, we are also exploring that how it can actually increase those jobs, and it is for sure it is going to increase the job, right?
Yeah,
And in fact, there are certain jobs in an era, or maybe in the decade, or maybe in the
yeah,
century, which where will collapse. So for example, there was a in fact, in my during childhood, we used to have cobbler at every square. Now you won't find it,
yeah,
because even right now, if you have if you need to go and you can buy your shoe immediately, right? So even nobody is actually giving a damn, saying that, yeah, juta fad gaya, let's buy a new one.
yeah,
In maybe the kind of era that I come in, basically, and that,
yeah,
so basically we used to have cobblers, we used to have, in fact, I don't know, there are certain people, like for example, there was a people who come to the squares, and you'll see that a lot of people will go to that cobbler now. Right now that entire thing is not there. So there are certain jobs which will definitely get maybe lost, or maybe you can say uh, completely vanished, and it is completely fine because it is creating something new.
hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is something I guess I read somewhere, I guess. I don't know. Like the reality is that if technology can beat something, it will. That's just the end of the conversation. Like the only way you're gonna do is adapt it and use it better. You can make it better. Like cobbler वापस नहीं आ रहा है वो, that's just the end of the conversation. You cannot go to that rabbit hole, anyone, like. So that is something, yeah, exactly. So you don't have to walk into that rabbit hole.
What happen is if you
हाँ हाँ
if you feel कि यार I need a shoe for
हाँ,
example, order it tomorrow morning. Amazon is going to deliver to you
yeah, वो reality है. That's you're not gonna go to a retail store. That's just the end of the conversation. Don't be, yeah, हाँ. It's just like,
because we have gone through that evolution.
हाँ हाँ,
We have gone through that
yeah,
evolution.
yeah. Got it. Also, like as I've also started making content on LinkedIn more actively. I used to, when I started on LinkedIn and Twitter, I was that random guy who posts motivational quotes without any reason क्योंकि उसको platform समझ नहीं आ रहा है. Then I took a 6 months of break. Then I understood the platform, and then I became more active on LinkedIn with appropriate content. So one thing that I've learned about making content is that it could be a very good distribution if you do it right, right? Like if you own a business, you do make content, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. It becomes a very good way to distributing things, experimenting with things on a larger level. So how do you think AI can make that even better? Like, is that
Yes, that's an interesting question basically. Okay, we were also discussing the same thing the other day.
okay?
Is see, there are there so depending upon what is the nature of content you create,
Hmm,
what is the business you have,
hmm,
and where is your business cater,
hmm, hmm, hmm,
right? There are certain methods or there are certain distribution platforms, right?
hmm.
So see, AI will definitely need input from you,
Ah,
right? So for example, you feel that let's say for example in terms of SEO, right?
okay.
Now you create content,
Hmm,
right?
hmm,
And even in the content creation, AI is going to help you, and it is already helping. In fact, there are plenty of tools available so that it is helping you to create uh, SEO driven articles and all these things. Now the second phase of generative AI, there are certain startups who have already started working is, so once I create an article, right now in terms of distribution, they use it for link building, right? Because the more number of links I will have, the more SEO rank will go up, right? So right now what is happening the first level, and it has been happening in last 10-15 years, is I will see my competitor,
hmm,
I will study my competitor,
hmm,
that from where they are getting the
hmm,
backlinks,
hmm, hmm.
and then I will also approach the same domain or maybe similar kind of thing, and then I will build an backlink to them. So this is a set standard in last 10 years,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Now through generative AI, it becomes very easy for you to find out that okay, if my a competitor is actually having these kind of backlinks, I can use that, but what are those other websites of similar niche can actually give me the backlinks,
Okay,
right?
makes
So
sense.
that laundry work of finding similar niche website
Hmm,
can also be done by generative AI, because
hmm,
again you are building your distribution channel,
hmm,
right? So
hmm,
again, studying your competitor, finding out what kind of content they are creating and where they are actually distributing it is a studying, and then through that study you also find out where I can also leverage my distribution is next something that is AI is going to build off.
hmm,
And there are a few startups who have already started working in that direction.
hmm. Yeah.
So it reduces your again time, because
Ah,
you have already given your, because you have already trained that AI saying that my competitor is doing this, now find out the similar website.
okay,
So yes, so definitely it is going to help
okay.
you.
Go on, go on.
So no, please go ahead.
I was saying, like, just a follow-up question is that when it comes to distribution, what do you think AI will more focus on, or maybe do a better job at, whether it's execution or framework?
Both.
Both,
Both.
both.
See, very simple. Let's say, for example, if I find out that my competitors are creating these kind
Hmm.
of content,
Hmm.
and I studied and I find out that out of 10 content that we studied, two really worked,
Yeah.
because this is what the thing is. Now, A, finding out the right kind of content that my audience is going to engage with,
Hmm.
again
Hmm.
AI can do it.
Hmm.
Second, creating content is again a part of the AI job. Already contents are being created by AI, so you can create that. Again, the next part is maybe publish it at a right time when my audience is live,
Huh.
right? That again can AI can do.
Huh.
So right now AI is capable of managing everything. What is more important is right prompt and right logic. That is where those tools are working right now.
Makes sense.
I've seen certain tools. So there's an SEO tool which is called as Byword somewhere.
Okay.
It actually creates amazing SEO articles.
Okay.
I used it, maybe experimented for a while, and then I realized that it is creating amazing content, right?
Makes
So again, so right now what is happening is everybody is actually leveraging AI in small bits and pieces,
yeah.
right? Someone is creating the content, someone is actually creating a framework.
Hmm.
So for example, there is a tool called I don't know, hire or something. I don't remember the name. Co-schedule, sorry.
Kosher. Okay.
Co-schedule is a
Okay.
tool. Now co-schedule is a tool basically. Right now it has been used in the past. I used in the past. Basically it's more of a content planning tool,
Oh.
right? But now they have also started adopting the AI side of it. So now it creates everything. It creates framework, it creates distribution time, it creates what channel you need to work on. So people have started adopting these things. Some tools are using maybe X method, some tools are using Y method, but yes, people have started adopting it. And whether it is a framework, whether it is a execution, and I think more people is going to adapt. So it's not about what AI can do right now, right? The world is in a scenario that what we should use. So the more adaptability, I think, will come in an execution mode, because
Yeah.
that's the toughest part.
Hmm.
That's where people feel bottleneck, because you need maybe a human resource, or maybe you need right kind of talent.
Hmm.
If AI can do it
Hmm.
in a right manner, the way I see, because if, see, to become successful, right, strategy, planning, it has its own weightage. But if you don't execute it the way you plan it or way it needs to be done, believe me, you're not gonna be successful. So execution holds a lot of weightage, and some majority of people actually at times feel that they are not able to execute things because of that, maybe a skill, or maybe a time crunch, or a resource crunch, whatever it is. So what I feel is, apart from planning, maybe there are people who want to use it for planning as well, but majority of these things will be used in an execution aspect.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Because okay, to a lot extent, execution is more pattern based. I can, like, if I'm not mistaken, it's that like you establish the framework. You say this is how this thing works. Where it's for LinkedIn, you do, and you give the framework out, and you say to I execute this. So I think in some sense I feel, because at the end of the day, like for brainstorming, I guess AI will do a good job when it comes to framework, gives you perspectives, gives you ideas. But I think I am not very sure if AI makes the entire decision in the framework, how will that work? That's I'm little unsure of. But I think execution is something that will do probably a good job at, a really good job. That's, I would say, like, my take for now. Yeah, yeah. So like one thing though, as we were talking about policies before, and you said that key that if something's available, your article has been used without your permission. So that's in some sense unethical. So and there are open source platforms, right? Like OpenAI is open, not OpenAI, but ChatGPT is not an open source; it's a closed source. But like open source platforms or something like OpenAI, let's take that for example. They are using data that's already available over the internet, and there's going on a hot discussion that if AI is using so much data from Twitter, does Twitter make money out of it? Does it take some sense of commission? So like when you use OpenAI's API on Brilo, so does OpenAI charges you something because and like because or maybe to some extent because it's a counter question because if it's picking content from LinkedIn, ठीक है OpenAI कि to kind of help people to create content. Maybe there's a small part of you as well, right? In OpenAI, there's API. So when they charge for Braille, can you say that, okay, in some sense, there's my contribution too to the data. So do you charge me for that? Is it ethical? Is it not ethical? What should be the right way to do it? Like if I framed the question better, because it's also a little confusing in my head.
So right now, what is happening
Hmm.
is, yes, the OpenAI, that's something that we are using is paid. So whatever the API calls that we make and the number of words that we fetch from OpenAI is chargeable,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So now, when you say that I am also training them, right?
In some sense, yeah.
Because there are see when I am firing a query saying that write LinkedIn post on certain topic for a user, it is just a topic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But in the backend, we have created this entire prompt, right?
Yeah.
And we so again, you need to give those prompt in a very plain English language, so there is no technical aspect involved to it. But you need to ask relevant question or relevant persona as well. So for example, if I have to write a LinkedIn post on email marketing, I need to tell OpenAI saying that please behave like an email marketer,
Yeah.
or maybe you think like an email marketer and then write this. So what is happening, see where these tools are training OpenAI, right? If you're simply asking the result, then you're actually not training OpenAI or not training any bots, right? But what you are doing is, if you are giving certain frameworks, so some of our prompts will also have framework because we know what kind of post work very well on LinkedIn, right? So we know that okay, you need to write hook, and then you need to write this, and then there's a few bullet points, and then you also add some context to it, and then write an call to action.
Yeah.
That's where actually we are training OpenAI.
Hmm.
But right now, what is happening is it is just a one way money transaction happening where we are
Yeah.
paying. We haven't got paid anything, and I don't think so. They will be paying us. The only thing that can happen is maybe we can have our own methods.
Huh.
So there are two methods, right?
Okay.
If we don't have to actually train their bots, the only way is get a dump of words from them
Hmm. Okay.
on certain topic,
Okay.
and then process it through our own engine
Okay.
and then give you as an output, so that at the end of the day we don't train OpenAI.
Hmm.
So tomorrow, like it's like we create our own IP, which is a more of a thinking machine, that whatever the dump that you give, it gives you result as your persona. And I think that's where we are actually working.
Okay.
That's the biggest hurdle which we want to cross, is to have an individual brain inside your profile. Or not, brain is a very vague word, to be honest, it's more of a persona
Yeah.
uh, to be created,
Yeah.
so that we don't train OpenAI.
Hmm.
And that's where tomorrow maybe OpenAI will come saying that can we have some models from you, because at the end of the day OpenAI will also need models to
Huh.
train.
Huh.
So that's a proprietary that every company, and not just Brilo, but every company is trying to build for themselves. Even if you chat, look at a tool called Write Sonic, right? Now Write Sonic has certain personas.
Hmm.
If you use Write Sonic and you say that behave like a poet or behave like a historian, or maybe behave like a sports commentator,
Yeah.
they have certain personas.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, these personas are basically the model which
Yeah.
companies are going to buy from whatever they have created.
Yeah. Acha, one thing, like it's pretty evident from 15 minutes of conversation that you like technology. Okay, that's pretty evident. I can see that. So, acha, as a, just as an admirer of technology, I want to question, not necessarily as an entrepreneur, but like just an admirer of technology. What do you think like OpenAI got it right when it comes to making their technology, whatever they made it, right? What do you think they got it right in some sense that other people may are not able to? Resources or something else?
See, see what they got right is what I feel is it's their vision. see at the end, it's basically the vision that drives you, right? For example, if I am doing something, it's my vision, right? Or whatever someone is doing, if it has no vision attached to it, or if that particular vision is not actually going to affect a large set of people in the society, it is not going to be accepted, or maybe it's not going to be that huge.
Makes
So
sense.
what they actually picked up is,
Hmm.
they actually gone ahead and, you can say, commoditize, or not a right word, but I would say democratize.
Hmm.
Internet is a democracy, right? So they actually democratize the entire generative AI side of it. We also did an initial conversation that AI is not new, but how a common man like you and me can use it, or not just you and me, maybe any damn person who has an access to the
Internet,
internet
yeah.
can use generative AI, maybe ask certain question, right,
Yeah.
and then get an answer of it,
Like, yeah.
is basically is a simple method. Like, till now I have Google. I
Hmm.
can go on Google,
Hmm.
find out that what the particular topic is, and it will give you maybe hundreds of result. Whatever the result I like, I'm gonna read it,
Yeah.
right?
Like,
OpenAI went one step ahead.
hmm.
What they did is they give me concrete answers, so I
Huh.
don't have to browse of
Yeah.
hundreds of articles,
Yeah.
right?
That
So
you don't figure
they
out which answer suits you, they just give you the answer. Right.
yes, because this is right,
Hmm.
because we have scanned thousands of articles, and this is what the maybe a crux of it, or a juice of this, which I'm giving you in 3 paragraphs,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So what OpenAI has done right, and it's not OpenAI, to be honest, there are plenty of such organizations are doing it. Why OpenAI is, to be honest, if you ask me, they've got the biggest funding.
Hmm.
They've got the biggest
Biggest
player
funding, like,
with them,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
If you say, when you say Microsoft has given taken 59% or 49% stake in OpenAI, with close to $50 billion, that means already it's $100 billion company,
Yeah. Easily. Yeah.
right? So they've got the biggest of funding.
Hmm.
So, and I have seen, in fact, apart from generative AI, I have seen lot of companies in India
Hmm.
who is doing a space research, but since they did not get the right funding, they are not as big as SpaceX.
Yeah. Yeah.
I personally know people who have done good work in a space in India, but India is not ready for space yet, to be honest. There are few startups who have got funding also. Like recently, I was reading about a startup. They got a funding of 35 million. So it's all about, a, what's your vision, and how you are able to take that vision and secure the right fund. Because without fund in this space, it is super difficult to survive. Because what you have to see, even if you look at the OpenAI's history, they are not building it from like maybe 6 months down the line. They are training these bots from past 6 years. That's where Elon Musk comes into the picture, right? He was the early investor. He invested close to $50 million, right? So vision is very important. How you translate that vision, or maybe give that vision to your investor, saying that, hey, how I can go ahead and change this world. And the third major aspect is how you are able to make that technology accessible to millions of people.
Got it.
Google did it. That's why Google became the trillion-dollar company,
Yeah.
right? Now OpenAI is doing it, where actually it is giving. It is actually, so again, you need to understand, the attention span of user has dropped dramatically,
Hmm.
right? Today, when I go to Google and I find out it takes me 10 minutes to figure out what is right, believe me, my 10 minutes are super expensive these days, right? Because maybe I'm busy or something. If I go to ChatGPT and ask, saying that what is the answer of this, it is going to give me. In fact, I know a developer community where today developers are not even writing any code. My development team has actually generated so much of content from ChatGPT to write for Brilo, to be honest. If you want to write an API, you want to write a JavaScript, you want to write a CSS code, or maybe an HTML code, ChatGPT gives you in minutes.
Yeah.
So if you ask my developer, they'll say, यार मेरा काम बहुत आसान हो गया. I don't have to write something from scratch.
Yeah.
So accessibility of technology is again very important, which they have done it. If you see tools like Jasper.ai,
Hmm.
right? Right now, Jasper is something, a tool that is in the market from past 1.5 year.
Hmm.
Why it has not become that huge? Why Chat GPT? Because they come up with certain vision, they
Yeah.
come up with a certain mission,
Yeah.
and then they democratize that entire mission by giving that accessibility in individuals' hand.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Like, we having this conversation. Something reminded me when you said this point. I was watching a video from Simon Sinek. I don't know if you heard the guy's name. Yeah. So one of his video, I forgot the name of the video. It was a TED talk saying that why leaders became leaders. Basically, that was the theme of the uh, talk. And he said that there's three ways people do things in world. First, what they do, how they do, and why they do it. So everybody's know what they do. Everybody know what they do. I do a podcast, you run a business, everybody do. Some people know how they do it. You know the execution, you know the strategy. I know how to edit things. I know how to make thumbnails, so maybe set up mic and whatever. But very few people know why they do it, what they do. The 1%. And the thing is, he said one thing very great was people don't buy what you make, people buy why you make it. Like Apple doesn't make he was then the उस time पर Apple का he used an example. Then like the iPods came out, I think 2010 maybe, not it came in 7, but I'm saying it in the time frame of 7 to 11, I think उस time पे वो recording हुई है. Hussein, he said ki like he said that ki a lot of companies like Dell and HP, they like if we make a computer company, well, this is our products, and some companies goes like we have this feature and we can do this and that, and they figure out how they do it. And why is like and the Apple does that, we make beautiful products for people who like it. If you want to buy, we can sell that to you. Also we make computers. So people like the why अच्छा high technology का बंदा है, मेरे को भी technology पसंद है, I'll buy it. So that's something I have been this kind of made some changes how I see things now. After I watched that video, I still have to process certain things. I'm doing it, but I think it kind of reminded me of what you said, from what you said, basically. So I was like, yeah,
A beautiful book by Simon Sinek, which is called as "What's Your Why."
I haven't read that book. Maybe it could
Go
be.
and read that book because that's an amazing book,
Hmm.
and it actually drills down very deep
Hmm.
when you ask these questions that why am I doing this?
Yeah.
When you start asking why in everything what you do, believe me, your entire thought process
Hmm.
changes. Then you're not the same person.
Yeah.
Then you are a very different person,
Hmm.
because then you don't do things just for a survival.
Yeah.
Then you do things because you need to contribute.
Hmm. Hmm.
And all of a sudden, when you say that I want to contribute to this, you will find out that plenty of people will start approaching you,
Yeah.
and in the entire life and entire spectrum changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I've
that's again,
experienced that. Yeah.
why is very very important. And that's why I basically, this is my guru, which I follow, is Kautilya or Chanakya, right? He has lived his life for this entire why,
Hmm.
and his why was very simple, is he wants to see this country as one nation.
Hmm. Hmm.
He has done everything in his lifespan for this only one why,
Hmm.
is he needs to see India as a one nation.
Yeah.
That's this. So that's a very strong why, and he actually built his entire thing around that.
Yeah. Hmm. Like my observation with why has been that like if you have your why figured out, it's like you're going to fight a very hard battle, but the fight becomes worthy if you have the why sorted out.
If you're able to, and the second thing is, if you're able to
Yeah.
communicate your why to people,
People
that
join you.
fight actually becomes simple,
Yeah. And
because then people will start
hmm.
supporting you.
And the best part is that they don't support you, they support themselves.
Yes, agree.
They see the vision
So
in the same vision and they support themselves. I am here for myself. I'm not here for you. I see the same vision as you do. I want to contribute to. So it makes, yeah. Yeah. So that has been an observation. Yeah. So, no, like sometimes, like I mentioned in a lot of episodes that like I start with a flow and it goes like this and this and it comes down this and I have a pause for like half a second, 10 seconds, and then I again build up. And every guest they're like, ah, chill, chill. But okay. So you've been making content on LinkedIn for how long now?
See, on LinkedIn, I've been active since Feb 2021.
20.
So prior to that,
Okay.
uh, being in the digital space,
Hmm.
I've been creating content. So prior, predominantly, I was into B2C space.
Okay.
So working for a lot of clients, and that time I was working on a lot of Facebook's kind
Huh.
of content,
Huh.
Facebook ads,
Yeah.
and all these for a lot of
Hmm.
e-commerce brands.
Hmm.
2018, I took a shift from B2C to B2B,
Okay.
and since my background has been technology, by default I got a initial clients for as a technology company and cyber security companies, right? So since then, it's more on the B2B side, but active content creation on LinkedIn, I personally started on Feb 2021.
Hmm.
And that point of time, I might hardly had some 500 followers there. And then my mantra for, so when I started creating content, definitely one of the intention is to get leads, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's why we are doing
Huh.
business. But then
Yeah.
maybe once I started creating content for 2 months, and then I realized that no, there is something bigger I have to offer to this audience, because when I share, so then at that point of time, my entire content was observational content, just like an observational
Okay.
comedy. I used to
Huh.
write a lot of observational content on marketing side
Acha.
or a sales side, because being an agency guy,
Hmm.
I used to market myself, I used to sell myself, and then turning that into revenue. So whatever life, even in the life event,
Hmm.
I used to turn that into a content, whether it can relate to a marketing or it can relate to a sales. Even my conversation with my daughter, I have written a series of posts where I give a sales lessons. One fine day, my daughter asked that, okay, I'm gonna top the class this year. What am I getting as a gift
Yeah.
this year? Now that's a sales conversation.
That's a still
That if
conversation.
I
You gotta
if
negotiate
I
now.
if
Huh?
I do this, you're negotiating with your own daughter,
You gotta
right? So I
negotiate.
turned that entire conversation into 4 posts,
Huh.
and people liked it so much.
Yeah.
So most of my content
Huh.
have been observational. I don't do gyan ki, yeah, do 10 things and it will do this, or
Huh.
do 5 things
Hmm.
and do this. I'm not that kind of, because honestly speaking, see how I learned marketing.
Hmm.
I have no formal education of marketing.
Hmm.
I come from a tech background.
Hmm.
I took a shift in 2010 from a technology to marketing, and that shift was, a client asked me whether you can write content for me. I said I never done it, but let me try. So first three years I did a content writing for a dating website,
Yeah.
from a technology to dating,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then I then learned SEO, because the client said that your content is actually contributing and we are gaining organic ranking. And that point of time I said, what is organic ranking? He said it's ranking on Google. So
Yeah.
for me it was like, अच्छा ये भी होता है,
हाँ.
ठीक है. So then I asked client that, can you teach me SEO?
अच्छा.
And then he said, yeah, I'll teach you.
हाँ.
So imagine I'm writing content for client,
Hmm.
right? Client is teaching me SEO, he's paying me for that as well,
हाँ.
and I'm learning the SEO. So next 3.5 years, I worked with that client. We did a lot of amazing things. In fact, I executed strategy of SEO back in 2010-11, when some of my other peers were actually not even executing, maybe don't even know what those strategies are,
Yeah.
right? Because if you look at the US,
Yeah.
basically the localization has come in US in 2012, 11, 12, when it comes to search engine.
Hmm.
We see that localization right now.
Hmm.
It was a part of the uh, Google in US, because again 2010, 11, 12, cell phone has become a thing in US. In India, we see those touch screens somewhere in 2013,
हाँ. 12:30. Hmm. Hmm.
13,
हाँ.
right? So localization was already a part of that. So a lot of use those strategies over there. So how I learned these marketing is, you can say, on the job.
Hmm.
No formal. And it's like
Trial and error.
faced a challenge,
Yeah.
faced a challenge in marketing, maybe talk to few guys, maybe watch couple of YouTube videos. In that point of time, most of the YouTubers from US,
Hmm.
India didn't even had those YouTubers as well. The kind of YouTubers we see in last 5 years, it's exponential growth in India.
Huh.
Otherwise, if you talk YouTuber India, it was like there's no YouTuber, right? So learned a lot of things by executing, and I feel I'm blessed that I learned that way,
Yeah.
because that's the only way to learn marketing.
Okay.
There is no, yeah, there is a way people are doing it through theory, but then at the end of the day you need to execute, because sometimes theory might not work 100% of the time.
You have to get your share of trial and error.
Right, and
Yeah.
marketing is a trial and
Hmm.
error. It is, you just become better in your trial with your
Yeah,
experience.
you literally are doing A/B testing as a part of marketing when you run ads.
Every time,
Yeah, yeah,
every time. So that's what I'm saying. It's basically, I've been fortunate that whatever I learned
yeah, yeah.
is on the live projects.
Huh.
Basically, it was not even a project where a client says, okay, ठीक है, let's do it. It was live projects, live everything, and then that's how I
Yeah.
learned.
Got it. Well, while writing content for the dating website, do you have any stories where someone reached out to you saying that, hey, I got a date because of your content?
No, not exactly, because it's like you write for basically SEO,
Hmm.
right? And then you
Yeah.
contribute to a website. Then those
Huh.
website gets ranking, and you get some registrations and all that. So so I was writing. So basically, that's a ghost writing.
Huh.
I was writing for a website.
Hmm.
I was not writing on my particular
Yeah, yeah.
site. So there is no incident as if like someone came saying that, hey, I read your article and maybe I met someone.
Yeah.
But yes, what I realized is, through the content that I was writing, people are actually reading those content,
Hmm.
because I used to get all the analytics,
Hmm. Huh.
that how many people actually read this blog, or
Yeah, yeah.
maybe what is the traffic on this particular blog. In fact, one of the blog I did on celebrity couples,
Okay.
that was on some, yeah, there are few celebrity couples I did, lot of US based, and that's where I realized that there is a lot of traffic used to come.
Hmm.
In fact, when that celebrity couple broke up, I got most of the traffic, because everybody started searching for them.
Huh.
So again, it's a huge. So that's why I realized that how, even if that content was
Yeah.
created six
Yeah.
months back,
Yeah.
it has picked up now, because everybody's searching, because they are getting divorced. So things like this happens a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm just asking for a friend maybe who needs some dating advice. Maybe the person can see, the YouTube videos. They will learn
Don't think
something.
so that I don't think so that I am a great person in advising it.
Okay. Practicing it probably. Maybe good at
See,
practicing it.
honestly speaking, see, I didn't have a arranged marriage. I have a love
Okay.
marriage, right?
So, yeah.
So at least I have that
So
understanding.
clearly the content have some, it really works. That just we
Definitely,
can
definitely. See,
establish
content
that.
I
Yeah.
have.
Huh.
Honestly speaking,
Huh.
if my content did not have soul, it have never picked up,
Hmm. Makes sense. Huh.
right? So there was a soul.
Hmm.
I have been writing it through some of my
Hmm.
experiences, and maybe taking inspiration from the people, because see, um, a dating in US and a dating in India is a completely
Huh.
two culture,
Two different, very, very different
right?
culture. Huh.
Here you date to get married. Over there they date to find out whether it is a good person or
Huh.
not.
Whether it's gonna work out or
Here,
not.
if
Yeah.
you try to
Yeah.
date someone, they'll say, "अच्छा, you wanna marry
Yeah. It's
her."
a सात
It's
जन्म
not
का
like that.
commitment है. Huh.
Ha, it's not the similar case in
Huh.
US. They wanna, in fact, over there they are A/B testing
Yeah.
basically,
They're A/B testing. Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
they are compatible or not,
Yeah. They're
right?
compatible or not.
And they start dating very early.
Hmm.
Even if you see they're 13-year, 14-year, they start dating
Yeah.
that early.
Yeah.
If you see in India, that's not a culture here.
That's not a culture.
So again, I have to learn that by reading a lot of
Yeah.
things. I used to talk to a lot of people in
Hmm.
US. My client has made me accessible to some of the people who have actually created profile on that dating website. I used to talk to them, understand uh, what is the main reason they are joining. And in US, a person will not join one dating site. If they decide that I want to date, they want bloody join 20 dating sites.
हाँ.
And dating is a huge business in US. There are sites like OkCupid or Plenty of Fish.
Bumble.
They have
Yeah.
a monthly subscription of $50, $60.
Yeah.
Now look at the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a guy having close to 5 to 6 different subscription on dating website, they're investing like $200 a month in a dating website.
Yeah. Makes
So
sense.
it's a different ball game in US.
Yeah.
If you ask anyone to pay, maybe even if you ask, let's say, people to pay on Tinder, people are paying it.
They're using the free like the free work and they're not getting any results though. Huh? Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So again, there's a lot of soul behind those articles
Mhm.
and a lot of user communication,
Yeah.
user feedback that has come
Yeah.
while writing those contents.
Mm. Makes sense. Makes sense. Ah. It's great, like it's great to have a conversation where like we start from a theme and then you move on to different things. Like we're just having a free flow conversation that feels great. Yeah. I just wanted to ask you more of a personal questions, like from my side. Is that like I would say like give some context. Okay. And like I have started making money from last year. I guess I was 19 years old. I was started making money. And I just wanted to have like not necessarily a parent's perspective, but perspective as a third person. And I wanted to know like how does it feel when you are 30 and you in some sense have received like not received achieved your financial goals. How, because I was listening to this episode of a podcast where they were saying that when you think about money, is that like when you start to do something, suppose you want to do a business because of money, and this it's okay to start if you come from the scarcity because it's gonna be a programming in your head that money will make everything right. But one thing that you learn is that once you have that, what then it can't drive you. Like once you have figured out the basics, when you have figured out your necessity, like some necessity was not there with you before, ab wo hai, and now you have the financial goal figured out. You need something else, something more to kind of drive whatever you're doing. So how does it feel when you kind of have that financial goal set for yourself? Like you have reached in some sense the necessities, right? How does it feel that starting, I'm not, maybe I'm wrong at assuming this, but maybe everybody start from not having so much money, at least as far as they are concerned as an individual. You start from somewhere and then you build up with your skills, with your network, and then you kind of grow your income, maybe incrementally, exponentially. And how does it feel when you were 20, when you maybe just start doing it, or maybe whatever your age, maybe 23, 24, or even before that, when you started making money, and when you are now at this point, and how do you view money now? What's the difference in perspective?
So that's a very interesting question. I don't know how people think, but I'll tell you how I have looked up things from the day one, and I have seen certain people who run after money. To some reason, whether I was in my 20s, whether in my 30s, right? I think I never chased money.
Hmm.
Never.
Hmm.
Because to some reason, my maybe you can say the how I my thought process has been built or whatever it is.
Maybe you grew up in a safe environment in that sense, maybe it's with money wise.
Never, no.
No. Okay.
I actually never got up in a safe environment.
Okay.
My parents, both parents were working. They worked really hard to give us the life that we have right now, right? And we used to live in a rented house. I still remember that it was hardly a 400 square feet house, right? So it's not that I come from a very rich background, so I don't know how actually make money and all those things. See, the reason why I was not chasing money is not reason that I don't want to make money. The reason why I was not chasing money is because I thought, and I think somewhere that was been told to me in my childhood or maybe in my upbringing, or basically you should focus on uh, solving the problem. because if you are able to solve the problem, you will give money. So I'll tell you my learnings from my childhood, right? So my mother was a school teacher, and then she also used to take tuitions and all, right?
mm,
So I have seen how she is actually doing this thing, and then which is translating that effort into money,
mm,
right? So why I was actually keen to see that what she is doing, and then I was like, if she is doing all these things, the money is getting generated.
mm,
So I think in that process, I kind of learned that she's not chasing basically the money, and she's again in the noble profession because she's a teacher, right? She's actually teaching those kids. In fact, there were a few students who used to come to my mom and saying that right now I'm doing an engineering. I become a computer engineer, and you taught me in the second standard. So that was a feeling and the joy that I used to see her on her face. Basically, that has actually given me a lot of learnings, that what is more important is how you make impact in lives. Money is definitely you will generate.
yeah,
So I think that learning is very crucial for me in my early
mm,
childhood. That's the reason I never chased
mm,
money. And it's not that I always have a good relationship with money. I also have a bad times where I lost significant chunk of money, and then maybe I'm started building again. So it's not that if I'm chasing money I'll always have a good relationship with money, or if I'm not chasing money I will not have. It's like I know how to earn money, right? I know how to make high ticket clients for me. I work with, so, and again it's a phase of the life, right? After you lose certain money and then you earn that money back, then you realize that okay, this is just a thing, right? What is more important is what makes you happy. Even if even if I lost, let's say, 80 lakhs in 2 years or maybe 1 year, that didn't make me unhappy, or I was not sad, because I know I made a mistake, that's why I lost that money. I will not do this mistake again, so that I will accumulate
mm,
that money. So for me, I was super clear that money is not a solution of all the
mm,
problem,
yeah,
right? So chasing money was um, never a priority for me. For me it has always been, if I'm able to solve problem of people who actually have
mm,
money, I'll get
mm,
that money. And that's a barter. So I learned that barter very early in the life.
God,
So that's why my relationship with money is pretty straightforward. I'll solve the problem and money will come
yeah,
to me.
yeah. Like something you have said that you will, in some sense, you had the confidence that if you not make the mistake again, you will make the money again. And like my this point, like whatever phase I am, like my thought with money is that okay, like in some sense, I've been blessed to grown up in a privileged environment, and I'm grateful for it. So what it gave me, one of the beautiful things I find is that I think in abundance. Like I've seen a lot of people, they think in scarcity, I think in abundance. Like in my head is that there's always money on the table. There's always money on the opportunity. You have to learn to pick from which table. Some table not may not work for you. Some table will work for you. You have to learn the art of picking the right table for you. So in my head that I'll always make money. I just have to figure out what mistakes are avoidable and what mistakes I may make in the art of learning how to avoid mistakes and learn from it so that I become better at it. So my and also I also enjoy building things. So I kind of mix both things that okay, I'm learning from mistake and I know I will make money. So let's just focus on building and keep building. So that's my right now, that's my in some sense the perspective on it. I don't know if it will evolve, maybe it will be better. I don't know. It's really bad at this point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember one of my friend, while listening to this conversation of you, I remember he always say this, and I think somewhere I also admire to this thought is basically money is flowing everywhere.
Hmm.
It is now up to you how much you can actually make out of it.
Yeah.
There is money is everywhere.
Yeah.
Even if you are in a coal mine, there is money,
Yeah.
right? How you make it is up to you.
That's the art you learn.
Yes, correct.
So that's my focus, like learning the art. So yeah, yeah. But I didn't thought like we'll have covered this much conversation. But I will just say thank you for doing this, Mayu.
That's amazing time with you, Aditya, and I'm sure I also learned few things from you,
Really.
because that's how I that's basically priority of my every conversation,
Hmm.
is I pick up my
Yeah,
nuggets, because somewhere down the line it's like that I follow a theory of 1% or maybe an inch every
yeah,
day to move towards improvement. And I think in a year, then you find out that you accumulated at least something,
yeah,
so that you can experiment on it.
yeah.
So there's a theory which is called as learn from others' mistake,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Yes.
I don't believe on that,
Okay.
because the reason why is you didn't make that mistake, so you never understand what was the source of that mistake,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? But at least what happen is, when you at least you know that what mistakes can happen to you,
Hmm.
so at least just you can
You
avoid
can
it.
learn to kind of like identify mistakes that can are avoidable, basically. Yeah.
So what happen is, let's say for example, um, you make a
Hmm.
mistake, you tell that mistakes to me, that this is the mistake
Yep.
I did and please don't do it,
Huh.
right? But then I did not understand it, what is the
Uh-huh.
source of that mistake,
Huh.
right? So it, maybe I'll do that
Hmm.
mistake, or maybe I will not do that
Hmm.
mistake. The only differentiation is, if I make a
Yeah.
mistake, I immediately get back to that reference that this is the same
Huh.
mistake. So just come out of that
Hmm.
immediately, rather than circling into saying that कि हो जाएगा ठीक, I'll come out of that saying that कि ये same है, I need to
Huh.
come out immediately.
Huh. You figure out
So
science to make
that's
things
some
better, not hope. Yeah.
right, right,
Yeah. Yeah.
agree.
Makes sense.
And that's what I say. I'm basically more on the logical, creative side of guy.
Makes sense. Because also like some people mistake that key from when they are learning from other mistakes, is that sometimes mistake can have different variations, but the source can be the same.
Absolutely, agree.
हाँ, so that is also have something learned कि अच्छा source एक हो सकता है. It may look different to you, but it could be the same source. So you have to learn to figure out the source. But
Right.
again, thank you for doing this, Mayur. I had a great time talking with you.
Same Aditya,
Yeah.
same.
So everybody watching or listening to this episode, see you on the next Saturday. Bye.